My grandmother discovered me living in a shelter and said, "What about the trust fund I set up?" I had to explain my family drained every penny and made her think I was on drugs. Your one click helps more than you know. Subscribe and drop a comment saying where you're watching from. Let's see how far this story goes. I was sorting donated clothes at the women's shelter when Sister Mary called my name. "Connie, someone's here for you." My stomach dropped. Nobody knew I was here. I'd been careful using the downtown location instead of the one near my old neighborhood. Through the scratched plastic window I saw her, Grandma Lorraine, standing beside her silver Cadillac, looking completely out of place among the cracked pavement and chain-link fences. She was 83 but stood straight as an oak tree, her church hat pinned perfectly despite the November wind. My hands started shaking. I hadn't seen her in 2 years, not since Mom told her I'd gone down a bad path and cut contact. "That's my grandmother," I whispered. Sister Mary squeezed my shoulder. "She looks worried sick, honey. You should talk to her." I walked outside, my donated sneakers crunching on gravel. Grandma's face crumpled when she saw me, really saw me. The weight I'd lost, the circles under my eyes, the way my clothes hung loose. "Baby girl," she breathed, reaching for me. "What happened to you?" "I've been looking everywhere." "Grandma, your mother said you were in rehab. Said you'd stolen from the family, got hooked on drugs, wouldn't accept help." Her voice cracked. "But Sister Mary just told me you've been volunteering here for 3 months while living upstairs. So somebody's lying to me and I need to know who." Grandma pulled me to a bench outside the shelter, her grip surprisingly strong. "Talk to me, Connie. Right now." I didn't know where to start. The last 2 years felt like trying to explain a hurricane. Where do you even begin with that kind of destruction? "I'm not on drugs, Grandma. I never was." "Then why are you living in a homeless shelter?" "What about the trust fund I set up when you turned 18? That's $200,000. Even if you're just living off the interest, that's enough for an apartment, food, transportation." She searched my face. "Where's your money?" "The trust fund." She still thought I had it. My throat closed up and tears burned my eyes. "Grandma, I don't have any money. I have $17 in my wallet and a duffel bag upstairs with everything I own." "Explain." That's all she said, but the word carried the weight of a judge's gavel. So I did. I told her how Mom convinced me to put her name on the account, just in case something happened to me. How she said families share resources, that I was being selfish keeping it all to myself. I was 19 and stupid, still believing family meant safety. I signed the papers at her bank. She cried and hugged me, said I was such a good daughter. 2 weeks later, the account was empty. Empty. Grandma's voice was ice. Every penny. I called the bank, but since I'd authorized her as a co-owner, it was completely legal. She transferred it all to her and Daddy's joint account. My father, Paul Washington, worked in finance, made decent money, wore expensive suits. But he'd always lived beyond his means, and apparently my trust fund was the answer to his prayers. When I confronted them, they said I'd agreed to let them invest it. Said they'd put it in some high-yield opportunity that would triple my money in 5 years. I was young and believed them. I wiped my eyes. For a year they kept telling me to be patient. Then my cousin Tanya. You remember Tanya? She got drunk at Thanksgiving and let it slip. Said she couldn't believe they'd bought that lake house with my money, but at least they were letting her stay there rent-free. Grandma's hands clenched into fists. "The lake house in Stillwater? The one your mother posts all over Facebook." "That's the one. Bought it cash for $100,000. My trust fund plus some loan they took out." I laughed bitterly. When I demanded my money back, they told me to prove it. Said I was remembering wrong, that I'd never had that much money. "That's when things got really ugly," I continued. Grandma had gone completely still the way she did before a storm. Daddy said I was being hysterical and irrational. Mom started crying, saying I was accusing them of theft, that I was trying to tear the family apart. She called Uncle James, Aunt Vanessa, my cousins, anyone who'd listen. Told them I'd developed a drug problem and was making up crazy stories to get money for my habit. The memory made my chest tight. Within a week, half the family had blocked my number. The ones who didn't kept asking when I was going to get help for my problem. Mom even posted on Facebook asking people to pray for me, her troubled daughter struggling with addiction. Grandma's jaw worked. That's why she told me not to contact you. Said it would enable your destructive behavior. She was very convincing. I tried calling you, but your home number was disconnected. I drove to your house, but you'd moved to that senior community in Oak Ridge. Nobody would tell me your new address. Mom said you agreed I needed to hit rock bottom before you'd speak to me again. I never said that, Grandma whispered. I moved because the stairs were getting too hard. Your mother helped me pick out the condo. She must have kept you away from me intentionally? Yes. After I realized they'd frozen me out, I tried to make it work on my own, I said. The November wind cut through my thin jacket, but Grandma's presence kept me talking. I was working at Henderson's grocery store, had a studio apartment in Riverside. Wasn't much, but it was mine. Then Mom showed up at my job. Started telling my manager I was stealing to support my drug habit, that they should check my register carefully, watch me around the pharmacy section. My manager, Dave Henderson, had been decent about it initially. He told her to leave, said I was a good employee. But she kept coming back. Twice a week she'd stand in the parking lot with her phone out, recording me walking to my car, posting videos online saying she was documenting her daughter's decline. People I'd known my whole life started crossing the street when they saw me. Then someone spray-painted junkie on my apartment door. My landlord said he'd gotten concerns from neighbors about suspicious activity in my unit. He didn't renew my lease. I met Grandma's eyes. I lost my apartment. Couldn't get approved for another one because landlords would Google my name and find Mom's Facebook posts. I stayed with my friend Michelle for 3 months until her boyfriend got weird about it. I tried to rebuild, I said, my voice stronger now. Got a job at a call center downtown, saved every penny in a new bank account Mom didn't know about. I was doing okay actually. Started feeling like maybe I could survive this. Grandma waited and I knew the worst was coming. Then Aunt Vanessa called me out of the blue. Said she'd realized Mom was lying, that she'd seen bank statements at the lake house with my trust fund number on them. Said she wanted to help me expose the truth. Hope had felt like swallowing glass. She asked me to meet her at Parker's Diner, said she'd bring copies of everything. I showed up an hour early because I was so desperate. Ordered coffee I couldn't afford and waited. Grandma's face told me she already knew. She never came, did she? No. But my parents did. With a police officer. The memory still felt surreal. Mom started crying, saying I'd been harassing the family, threatening them, stalking them. She had screenshots of texts I'd supposedly sent. Texts I never sent. Daddy had a restraining order printed out, all official, saying I couldn't come within 500 feet of any family member or their property. The officer was apologetic but firm. He escorted me out while the whole diner watched. I heard someone whisper, "That's that drug addict daughter." Sad. I lost the call center job the next day, I continued. Someone sent my supervisor links to Mom's Facebook posts, plus a fake tip that I was using my work computer to buy drugs online. They fired me for a violation of company policy, before I could even defend myself. 3 months ago felt like 3 years. My savings ran out. I couldn't get another job because every Google search brought up Mom's lies. I ended up sleeping in my car, a 2003 Honda with a broken heater, until it got towed for parking violations I couldn't pay. Sister Mary had found me sitting outside the public library, using their Wi-Fi to apply for jobs that would never call back. She didn't ask questions, just said the shelter had a bed and 3 meals a day if I was willing to help with chores. That's how I ended up here. I've been volunteering with the intake process, helping other women get on their feet. It's given me purpose, you know? These women, they've been through hell. Real addiction, abuse, mental illness. And here I am with none of those problems except a family that stole from me and convinced everyone I was the problem. Grandma stood up, her whole body trembling. Get your things. You're coming home with me. Grandma, tell Connie. We're going to fix this starting today. Grandma's condo in Oak Ridge was exactly what I'd expected. Tasteful, comfortable, filled with photos of a family that had erased me from their narrative. Sit, she commanded, pointing to her floral couch. I'm making calls. First, she called her lawyer, Samuel Wilfred, who'd handled her estate planning for 30 years. Sam, I need you to pull records on a trust fund I established in 2019. Yes, the one for my granddaughter Connie Washington. I need to know where every penny went and who authorized what. I'll hold. She put him on speaker. While we waited, she opened her laptop with surprising efficiency for someone her age. Your mother doesn't know I'm tech-savvy now. My friend Martha taught me. Let's see what she's been posting. Mom's Facebook was a masterclass in manipulation. Dozens of posts about her troubled daughter, carefully worded to suggest addiction without explicit accusations. Photos of the lake house tagged blessed. Vacation pictures from Cancun last month. Designer handbags. New car. She's been living well, Grandma observed coldly. Mr. Wilfred came back on the line. Mrs. Washington, I have the records. This is highly irregular. The account shows your granddaughter authorized a complete transfer to a joint account belonging to Paul and Denise Washington on August 15, 2022. However, what, Sam? However, Mr. Wilfred continued, there are irregularities in the paperwork. The notarization appears suspicious. Same notary who handled your daughter-in-law's real estate license renewal. The signature looks rushed. And most importantly, Connie was 19 at the time, and the original trust had clauses about financial advisory consultation before major withdrawals that weren't followed. Grandma leaned forward. Can we challenge it? Possibly. We'd need to prove coercion or fraud. But Mrs. Washington, I'm looking at property records now. Your son and daughter-in-law purchased a property for $425,000 in cash 3 weeks after this transfer. Their previous tax returns show significant debt. The timeline is damning. I felt something unfurl in my chest. Hope, maybe, or vindication. There's more, Mr. Wilfred said. I'm seeing loan applications where they claimed assets including this trust fund as collateral. That's illegal if they obtained it through coercion. They've also been drawing from your main trust, the one you left to your grandchildren, using a medical power of attorney that shouldn't cover financial decisions. Grandma's face went white. How much? $80,000 over the past 18 months. They claimed it was for your care, medication, assisted living expenses. But according to these records, you're paying your own living expenses through your pension. Those bastards, Grandma breathed. I'd never heard her curse before. Sam, file whatever we need to file. Police reports, lawsuits, all of it. I want my granddaughter's money recovered and I want them prosecuted. Grandma's voice was steel. I want every penny accounted for. Pull my main trust accounts too. If they've been stealing from me, other grandchildren might be at risk. After hanging up, she turned to me. We're going to that lake house tomorrow. We're going to confront them with evidence and we're going to record every word. Maryland is a one-party consent state for recording, and I'm going to use that to my advantage. Grandma, they have a restraining order against me, which was based on fraudulent claims. Sam's already filing for dismissal. But you're not going anyway. I am. You're going to wait in the car with your phone recording everything through mine. We're going to do this right. She pulled out her phone and her fingers flew over the screen. I'm texting your mother now. Coming by tomorrow at 2 p.m. Need to discuss family matters. Don't make other plans. The response came within seconds. Mom. So good to hear from you. Of course we'd love to see you. Watch how sweet she is when she thinks she's safe, Grandma muttered. The next message. Is this about Connie? Please tell me she hasn't been bothering you. We're so worried about her. Grandma typed back. We'll discuss everything tomorrow. The lake house was obscene, all glass and modern angles, perched on prime waterfront property. My trust fund displayed in architectural form. Grandma had dressed for battle in her best church suit, her phone tucked in her pocket, already recording. I watched from her car parked down the street, my own phone connected to hers through an app her friend Martha had shown her. Mom answered the door in yoga pants that cost more than I'd made in a month. Mom. Come in. We just made lunch. I'm not here for lunch, Denise. Grandma walked past her into the marble-floored entryway. Daddy emerged from the kitchen, all false warmth. Lorraine. What a surprise. If this is about Connie's latest episode, sit down, Paul. Both of you. Now. Something in her voice made them obey. Grandma pulled out a folder of documents. Connie's trust fund. Where is it? Mom, we've explained this, Dad started. She never had as much as she thinks. $200,000 established in 2019, transferred entirely to your joint account in August 2022. I have the records right here. I also have records of you purchasing this house 3 weeks later. Want to revise your story? The silence was deafening. She gave us permission, Mom finally said. She wanted to help the family. By forging her signature? Grandma slapped down the notary analysis. By coercing a 19-year-old? By stealing $80,000 from MY accounts using a medical power of attorney fraudulently. Mom's face went chalk white. We didn't, you needed my granddaughter's entire future? You needed to destroy her reputation so she couldn't fight back? You needed to make her homeless. Grandma's voice rose. I found her in a shelter, Denise. A shelter. While you're posting vacation photos and buying designer handbags with money you stole. Dad stood up. You need to calm down. Sit down. Grandma didn't yell, but something in her tone made him collapse back into his chair. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to sell this house. You're going to liquidate every asset you purchased with Connie's money. You're going to repay her trust fund in full, plus interest. You're going to repay what you stole from me. And you're going to post a public apology on Facebook admitting you lied about everything. We can't do that, Mom whispered. We'll lose everything. You should have thought of that before you committed fraud. When Paul? I'm calling your employer. Let's see how a financial services firm feels about employees who steal from family members. You wouldn't, Dad breathed. Watch me. You turned my granddaughter into a pariah. You made her homeless. You stole her future. I will burn your lives to the ground if necessary. 3 months later, I sat in Mr. Wilfred's office signing papers. The house had sold, at a loss in the quick sale, but enough to recover my trust fund plus interest. My parents faced criminal charges for fraud and elder financial abuse. They'd been fired, arrested, and ostracized by the same family they turned against me. Uncle James had called to apologize. So had Tanya and 3 cousins. Aunt Vanessa claimed she knew something was wrong all along. I didn't return her calls. The restraining order was dismissed and I'd filed my own. Mom had posted the apology Grandma demanded and the comments were brutal. Her perfect Facebook life had imploded spectacularly. How do you feel? Grandma asked as we left Wilfred's office. The truth was complicated. I feel like I survived something that should have destroyed me. I feel angry that it happened at all. But mostly, I squeezed her hand. I feel free. I'd found a job at a nonprofit helping domestic abuse survivors. Turns out shelter experience was valuable. I had a new apartment, modest but mine. I was back in school studying social work. My story had attracted media attention, and I'd received messages from dozens of people with similar experiences. Grandma had updated her trust to include specific protections against financial abuse. We had Sunday dinners now, just us rebuilding what family should mean. Your parents destroyed themselves, baby girl, Grandma said. You just survived and got stronger. Looking at my reflection in the car window, I barely recognized the broken girl from that shelter. Yeah, I said, starting the engine. I did. The aftermath was messy. Criminal trials, family fractures, long nights processing trauma. But I learned something crucial. The people who love you don't steal from you, don't destroy you, don't make you choose between truth and family. Real family, like Grandma, finds you in shelters and fights for your dignity. Real family doesn't require you to be silent to belong. And sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's rebuilding yourself into someone they can never break again.